My name is Graham Crew. I am the CEO of Rupert Resources. We are developing the 4 million ounce Ikkari deposit in the central Lapland greenstone belt and continuing to explore the region.
Great. Lovely to meet you. You're the new kid on the block.
Yes, I am, Matt. Thank you.
So when did you get your feet under the table in this role?
It's been about 6 weeks now. So I've had a chance to visit site. I've had a chance to go and visit some of our shareholders and get a good lay of the land in terms of the projects and what's happening.
Okay. And so what's your background relative to what you've been asked to do here?
I'm a mining engineer by background. A lot of my career has been in Australia. I started out at Olympic Dam a long time ago. Gold has been a big part of my career. Probably over the last 14 or so years, I started at 2010. I started a little mine called Frog's Leg in Western Australia, which was owned by La Mancha. At that time, it was kind of an Areva asset. And then the Suarez family came in 2012 and really things started to happen. So from the last 14 years, I've had a lot of involvement with La Mancha and their projects, developing those Australian assets. And then in the last few years, some of their investments in Africa and as part of the investment team here in London.
And doing what precisely? Picking them up at what stage and taking them through to what stage?
Yeah, so, Frog's Leg, we had an operating mine and it was about expansion. We built a processing plant. We started some open pit operations. So it was really that development from grassroots feasibility, permitting through construction. So very relevant to Ikkari and Rupert. And then more recently, I was involved in the investment with Golden Star Resources, which was more kind of turnaround and repairing the balance sheet and turning around assets. And then the last few years has been as part of the investment team, looking at different investments that La Mancha's been involved in.
Turnarounds, they're a bit of fun, aren't they?
Yes.
Can be.
That's when most of the hair went.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Good. Excellent. What's the brief now? What have you walked into, and what have they asked you to do?
Yeah, I think one thing I would say that has been a great legacy created at Rupert. The development of Ikkari from discovery in 2020, at the start of COVID, to now being a 4 million ounce resource, 96% of that in indicated category, huge, great platform to start from. And I think coming in, I think that background we talked about is an important consideration for the board and saying, okay, we want someone that's developed mines before, but also has a good understanding of the capital markets and how it fits within there. So from my perspective, it's really about taking this development forward. It's about getting the studies done to a really high quality standard and making sure that we've got everything considered. And it's about getting the permitting in place so that we can go and fund and build Ikkari.
Okay, if we look at the landscape as a whole at the moment, I think a lot of companies have come under pressure by putting out economic studies which just don't have the margins there. Inflation's put some pressure on that. Even in the mine build phase, people are getting things wrong because they haven't got the kind of skill sets required and don't understand some of the issues that arise. And even after it's built, we've seen things like failings for heap leach and tailings.
Yes.
It doesn't paint a good picture for the sector. You're coming in here to kind of move into that phase, so you're very conscious of what's going on out there. How do you manage something like that? What are the kind of things that you say to your team, and what's the process look like? Just understand in a bit more detail.
Sure. And I think that's right. There've certainly been companies and projects that have come under real pressure. I think for me, it starts with the quality of the studies.
Ooh.
And one thing I'll say coming in, based on what I've seen in my first look, is the quality of work has been front of mind. So I think that's step number one, is making sure that the quality of work is good, and we really think about what those risks could be and where those risks could materialise in, whether it be in construction or in operations. So the first thing is making sure that you've got the quality of the work is at a high level. So I think that's I think that's something where we've got a good foundation, we've got a good start. We've just got to make sure that we're thinking about those risks all along. I think when it comes to the next phase in terms of construction and delivering that real path to cash flow, it's about making sure that we've got the right team in place. And obviously the team that we've got now has been really good at delivering exploration success. We've built a team to deliver studies, and then we'll need to build another team that comes in and looks at that construction. So I think one of the key things for me over the next period as we move through those different phases is to make sure that we've got the right team and the right people involved in the business.
Right. Also requires the right plan, because that's another thing we've seen happening over the last 2-3 years. People
sure.
adapting and changing the plan because of the market. The market was, difficult. I think also different demands. We've now seen another kind of variable in the shape of high gold price. Nice problem to have, but it changes people's thinking. So for you, are you at that point where you're sort of assessing what's gone before and just thinking about the best way forward, not necessarily agreeing with what has gone before?
Yeah. I think that's right. I think we need to be thinking about, what does the future look like. I think on the positive side with Ikkari, the deposit itself, it's very robust in terms of the endowment, the ounces, the grade close to the surface. It's going to be a relatively low cost deposit on a world scale, just because of the quality of the deposit. So that
meaning what? What does that mean? The shape of the deposit.
I think the shape, the endowment. You're talking about 10,000 ounces per vertical meter over the first few hundred meters. It's a really robust deposit. Some of the test work coming back for the metallurgy has been really positive, for a whole ore leach. So it's quite simple.
I know you did some bulk and then you did some variable. But
in terms of the recovery? Yeah. So, some of the test work's what has sort of been coming at plus 95%. So, it's quite world class in terms of the robustness of the project. So that's a big positive for the project, right? So then it's making sure we've got the right plan. It's making sure that we've got a robust plan through to construction and that delivery of cash flow. One of the things at the moment, all of our study work is based on $1,700 gold price. So we've got a lot of margin within the gold price to be thinking about that, and not talking about bringing in a lot of marginal ounces or changing the project materially. I think that's, if you look at the history of some of the great gold companies, they make sure they keep that reserve price low, and then you're able to kind of maximize the margin when you go through those periods of high prices. By the same token, building Mungari 14 years ago, the gold price went from almost 1,700 or just touching 1,700 down to 1,350 a year later. So, none of us kind of know what the future holds. So the robustness of the project is key.
Absolutely. I'd say this though, if I look at your share price over the last, since 2019, last 5 years, right? You really the company got, that's before your time, but the company really got rewarded at the end of 2020. It kind of shot up to like $5.70. You're $1 billion company. Life was good. But it's kind of moved sideways ever since, because I think you had to backfill a lot of that hope and sentiment in the company. But most of those boxes seem to have been ticked in the sense of you've kind of got the answers, 96% plus in the measured and indicated. The met work is done. There's a few other things that are outstanding at the moment, which worry people generally across the world. The environmental component, permitting, etc. Nothing guarantees you've got the permits in place. So where are you with those things?
So I think the point you made earlier, Matt, around making sure that you've got the quality of studies and making sure you don't rush things. So I think that's kind of playing into our our favour a little bit. If I look at Finland as a jurisdiction, it's, you've got a very highly educated workforce. You've got, very robust systems and processes around permitting. Our EIA program is agreed in advance, and then we go and deliver that program before you even deliver a report. So you're having that consultation all the way through that process. So, I think for us, it's about delivering on those key milestones, making sure the quality of that work is good as we go through. So, the PFS that we're in the processes now of, updating all of those numbers so we'll be able to share that in due course. I think that's a robust piece of work.
This year, next year? What are we talking about?
We're kind of in the final parts of that now. I would say by the time we put that in the markets, probably in Q1.
Okay.
Hopefully
It's
early
close.
in Q1. It's very close.
Yeah.
There's a few things. There's a new person
Get
started
it
that's
right.
asking lots of questions.
Yeah, let's get it right. That guy. No, quite right.
So we'll finish that piece of work. I think that's going to be a robust piece of work that we can then share and go out and talk about in the market. The EIA is the EIA program that we're in the middle of now. That should be due in the second half of next year. We'll get a report that we can share with the authorities, and that kind of forms the basis of our permitting from
there. So you share that with the authorities, and they do what?
So they'll review that, and they'll make sure that they're happy with that. But it's important to note that consultation happens all through that EIA program. So it's not like
you've been consulting, but you're going to submit it officially for a final consultation?
Yes, so that's kind of the final report.
They feedback.
Then they've got
Life
to give.
Is good, or
they've got to give feedback.
There
might be a few things that they want to look at.
How does that process take?
Look, we've seen in Finland 12 months from submission to permits.
Normal. Okay.
So that's the kind of timeline we're working on.
Right.
Barring anything else.
Okay. You're moving. You're kind of ticking off the boxes and moving into the final kind of phase here, to package it up for one of two routes, which is one, as a mine builder, you guys go on your own, and I want to go down that route and explore that, or you're setting it up for someone like a B2 or similar. How dare I mention them? Where it's tied up in a bow for them, right? So can we look at given you and the team that are potentially building around you, what's the universe look like at the moment? Because super big capex projects are a little bit harder to finance unless they look like what? Do you think you've kind of got all the attributes for a big capex project?
Yeah. Look, let me put that another way, and certainly the way I've been thinking about this and the way I've thought about it in joining this business is Ikkari is a great deposit. And there's great work being done in delivering that. Mm-hmm. So the way I look at this, I'm not packaging this up for a B2 or anyone else.
Okay.
I want to build this thing because I think it's a great platform. There's an opportunity for Rupert to be, the consolidator, the specialist in that region that can deliver projects in a timely, cost-effective, great steward of the environment.
When was this discovery made? Remind me again.
2020.
2020?
Yeah.
So now
we're end of 2024. I mean,
that's pretty quick. That's sharpish. Yeah. Okay, very good. And then we can, using other peers, we can sort of look at how long a build period might take, and it's still a pretty short period.
That's
definitely be well under 10 years. So that's all good. Okay, so let's look at, for you guys, PFS, you're going to need to do another set of studies, aren't you, right?
Yeah.
Is it big enough at 4 million ounces? Because I know the kind of conversations you have been having with I mentioned B2 and Orion, etc. They've kind of stopped. They've kind of ground to a halt. Do you need that to move forward?
Look, we don't. I mean, we're still exploring. One of the core strengths of Rupert has been its ability to explore and deliver Ikkari. We've still got Haina South, Haina West. We've still got these deposits. Right. That we're I would call it second generation of now, where we're following up those deposits. Now they don't look like an Ikkari. but they certainly look like they could be supplemental deposits in the future.
Satellites. Yeah. Okay.
And then
How far away are they? Just
some of them are
trucking
within
distance.
10 kilometres.
Right, okay.
You know, so not far.
yeah.
Closer.
So that
Yeah.
can sit together, and that's
Yeah.
what you're. We'll come on to expression in a second.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a conversation about your technical competency. This is moved on to because you prove for the discovery and you've got these satellite potentials. This is about the economics and trying to understand what I'm buying into if I'm not really into this, or why I should hang around from currently a shareholder, right?
Yes.
Given that share chart profile I've looked at. So the growth is going to come from, I guess, the PFS when it comes out. People
Yes.
should get a sense of what the economics
At
look
least,
like.
at least people will see what the economics are with another round of
Right.
work. You know, we're including work that'll inform a DFS as
Yeah.
well. So, you know, we're progressing on a number of fronts.
Yeah.
The PFS is based on the ground that we currently know,
Right.
and the deposit that we currently
Right.
know. It doesn't include any other parts of that central Lapland
Right.
belt. So,
Okay.
you know, that's what we're basing our economics on, and we think that those economics will be robust.
Yeah.
You know, there's some options. You know, the boundary of that is close to Ikkari. You know, so there's potentially some value there, but you know, it can't be at any cost.
Right.
We need to focus on what we can deliver.
Right. So given you seem quite adamant about taking this for yourselves through the build phase, are you going to worry about trying to add more ounces for the bankable feasibility study? Because it's big enough to kind of get going. Do you need to spend money and distract yourselves, or maybe there's better uses for the money? How do you view that kind of size of the prize component?
Yeah. Look, I think there's still potential, and I think it's early days in the central Lapland greenstone belt.
Right.
You know, if you overlap that belt to other greenstone belts in the world, you know that there are more ounces there to be found.
But do you think the market will reward that versus get this thing into production?
I think we can walk and chew gum in that regard. But I think that the bulk of the value for us now is in bringing Ikkari into production.
Right.
Anything else will be nice to have. It'll be a nice addition to you know, Ikkari as it gets deeper, as it gets, you know, the one thing we know is it does take time for these things to go from discovery to being part of the mine plan. So sort of kind of stopping and waiting, you know, you're potentially not giving yourself the best opportunity for Ikkari to be even bigger in the future.
Okay, so moving forward on that front, if something comes along, the timing's right, you're bolted in. If not, there's future ounces to be had.
Correct.
Right. Okay. With the money side of things, obviously you raised about $35 million in August.
Yes.
The coffers were quite good before that anyway, but clearly enough to kind of get through to the PFS delivery.
Yes.
When would you, and is any of the work on the PFS at a kind of DFS level?
With some of the technical work,
Right.
the financials will be PFS level, but some of the technical work, some of the metallurgical work, some of the tailings test work will be able to feed into the DFS.
So it's more coming back to our point earlier of like trying to make sure that nothing falls over, like we've seen elsewhere in the world. Is more certainty on the pricing around the equipment and so forth. The brought in the yellow goods.
Yes.
Make sure they allow you to make the margins that you will. Your expectation is, I assume, the grade that you've got taking it and the recoveries.
Yes.
The margin's going to be fine. It's a question of refining in on that.
Correct.
That's all you do. And so when would that start? How long does that take? When would you be able
in
to
terms
talk
of the
about
DFS?
Get through the feed and FID.
I think it's get the PFS out and done and get that, you know, into the market so people can see how robust Ikkari is. And from there, it's then making sure that our DFS scope is right, and we're locked in on a single go forward plan for Ikkari. And currently we're saying 18 months. The optimist in me says maybe you can do it faster than that, but even if you allow 18 months, you think about the delivery of permits. You've got a time there probably between middle of next year and end of 26. where you've got time to think about funding the project, etc., and start.
Feed, FID, all of that
Correct.
kind of good stuff. Okay, because I think some pretty excited gold investors out there at the moment, institutional right the way through to retail, where you're looking at these gold prices and going, okay,
let's
I'm
go.
not sure how long this lasts. Let's get going. But I was urge caution and get it right rather than try and rush. So for you, 2026, end of 2026. Seems a reasonable time frame. There's not too many big advanced development projects looking to get into production at the moment, and those that are perhaps got some other issues that perhaps the funders are concerned about, it seems.
Yes, correct. And I think that's the strength of Ikkari, right? Given the jurisdiction, given the quality of the deposit, the timing is good. But I think I come from a technical operational background, right? So I want to make sure the work is good, so that we've got a robust project. Whatever happens with the gold price, if it's up at 3,000 plus, or it's back down at 2,000, I want to make sure that we've got a robust project that's in that lower quartile of the cost curve, and try to keep it there and deliver over. We're talking about a 20-year mine life, and then potential growth beyond that. So, I want to make sure it's a robust project.
It's a funny world out there. We're seeing a lot of M&A happening. The premiums aren't that good. They're not that impressive, quite frankly. I think a lot of investors a bit disappointed, quite frankly. Certainly in the sense that developers and explorers have not had the benefit that the producers have had in terms of racking up their their coffers with cash, and quite depressed share prices. So therefore, a 20-30% premium doesn't really feel too good at the moment. Let's go to option route 2. I mentioned BT, but it could be anyone. Majors, producers tend to be quite erratic, and I don't think there's much forethought in, other than, oh, crikey, our reserves are dwindling. We need to fill those now. Go find something. How do you, if you're determined to produce on your own, how do you protect yourselves? How do you advise shareholders? What is the right thing for your company? Because when money talks at the end of the day.
But I think that's by being good at what you do. It's about delivering on your commitments to the market and maximising the value on the table at any given time. If someone comes along and they want to pay a big premium to take over the management of that, then obviously our shareholders are probably going to want us to think about that. But the best protection for that is to make sure that we're letting people know what's happening with Ikkari. We're making sure that people know that we're on a path to cash flow, making sure that we've got the quality of the work that supports that. So there's no kind of doubt in people's mind about what we're doing. So for me, it's about making sure that we're consistent with that strategy. And if something comes from the side, well, then we deal with that on that basis. So it's about the quality of the deposit, the quality of the work, the quality of delivering, doing what we say we're going to do is going to be the best protection for that.
Good man. Nice to meet you.
Cheers.